we're going to be looking to the left quite a lot because that's where our slides are today. So just bear with us as we get settled here.
And we'll have a time at the end for questions.
Yes.
So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. And at the end of the presentation, we will be sure to get to those questions. And this presentation is being recorded. So I'm going to turn it over to Jana to start us off.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brandon. Hi again, everyone. So as we mentioned, this presentation today will give you a very good overview of the different types of education abroad opportunities that we offer for you as students at Penn State. We'll talk a little bit about how to start researching the different opportunities and how you can go about that on your own on our website. We'll talk a little bit about the different funding opportunities that you have available to you. Assuming that you are students in the College of the Liberal Arts. If not, it's okay. We have additional funding opportunities for you to consider for education abroad. And then I'll pass it over to Brandon to talk a little bit more about how you can use and experience studying, interning, and maybe conducting research abroad to then add to your resume, cover letter, and be able to talk about it a little bit more intentionally in a job interview or internship interview. Okay, so first we thought it would be helpful to share a little bit about why you would consider participating in an education abroad program or experience during your time at Penn State. For those of you who might not be familiar with the term or idea of education abroad, it is simply taking courses or perhaps participating in an internship in another country, but earning credit toward your Penn State degree requirements, academic requirements for your degree program here at Penn State. So all of the programs that you're going to see on our website that we're talking about today will count toward your Penn State degree or requirements, maybe toward your minor, toward your major. And we hope that you will consider doing the research and talking to us a little bit more about these opportunities, because it allows you to experience a new culture, somewhere new, while earning credit toward your degree at Penn State. Perhaps it's also an opportunity for you to explore your heritage. Maybe your family, your parents, grandparents are from somewhere other than your home, and you are interested in learning more about their home country. So we have a lot of students who are interested in learning the language that their parents and family members speak at home, and so they'll go to their parents' home country and study abroad for a semester, for a summer. You could also use this opportunity to improve your foreign language skills. Maybe you've been studying a language for a number of years, or you're wanting to get introduced to a language. We have a lot of different options for you to either become more advanced, perhaps fluent in a language, or take beginner, intermediate courses as well. And of course, one of the big reasons we're all here today, we hope that an education abroad experience will help to bolster your resume, but also help you to articulate some of the skills that you learn abroad in a future job or internship interview. And of course, it allows you to travel and see new parts of the world that you may not otherwise have the opportunity to do if you don't consider studying or interning abroad. Thanks, Brandon. So we won't spend too much time here. I don't want to get into too many details or specifics, but there are, as you can see, over 400 different types of programs available to you at Penn State on 6 continents. So essentially you can go almost anywhere in the world during a semester or a summer or perhaps an academic year-long program during your time at Penn State. We offer a variety of different types of programs. So as I mentioned, you could consider doing the traditional study abroad, which is taking courses. Perhaps they're all taught in English, or they're taught in the language that you're hoping to improve on and study, or it's a combination of both. We also offer internships, which is you participating in a job opportunity abroad, either part-time, perhaps full-time. Maybe that's also in addition to some of the classes that you're taking on a program. You could also consider conducting research abroad, again, maybe as a standalone program or in addition to some of the courses that you're taking. And as of the last year or so, we also offer virtual opportunities where you can either intern or take courses through one of our partner institutions abroad. So it's a really unique opportunity if you're a little bit hesitant, a little bit nervous, especially considering everything that's going on in the world right now, to actually physically get on a plane and go somewhere. Virtual programs could be a really nice introduction for you to the idea of working with professors or again, internships abroad and colleagues or peers from another country, sort of as a way to kind of get your feet wet. And then maybe you do the virtual program and then you come and see us about potentially going abroad to participate in person. We offer a variety of different types of courses. Like I mentioned, many of them are taught in English, regardless of the location. But you could also be studying the language of the country that you're studying in. We offer the traditional semester-long program, so that's during the fall or the spring semester, or you could consider doing the whole academic year, so fall and spring in the same location. And then we also offer short-term programs, so that could be anything that's offered during the Penn State summer term, so that's the May semester or June, July into August. And then one more option that we have, which is quite attractive to many students, are what we call our embedded programs, our embedded courses. These are programs that are quite short. So you enroll in a course here at Penn State, a residential course. Maybe it's taught at your campus or it's taught online. And then for 1 week, maybe over spring break or fall break, it just kind of depends on when you're taking that course, you will go abroad with your classmates and with your professor to learn about this place that you've been studying all semester. So I know that the College of the Liberal Arts has a lot of options for our embedded courses, embedded programs, but you're not, you don't have to just choose a program offered through your college. We have a lot of different opportunities on our website, which I'll show you how to find if you're interested in anything like that. We can go to the next slide. Thanks. Yeah, so if you're tuning in on Zoom, the easiest way to start researching programs is to go to our website, which is the ea.psu.edu. You can also scan the QR code. It'll take you to a page that looks like this. And I think we are going to go out to that website if it's okay, just to walk you through how you would search for a program, so you can start doing a little bit of research. Once you're there, you'll click on the program search, and we'll get there in just a second. So again, it's ea.psu.edu, and this is where you'll go to just start doing a little bit of research. Again, depending on your interests, we do ask that you consider first what type of experience you want to have, or what types of courses are you interested in taking, rather than, oh, I know somebody who's been to, fill in the blank, to Italy, for example. They said they had a really cool time. I want to go. I'm sure they did have a really great time. I studied abroad in Italy. Actually, it was pretty cool. I highly recommend it. But we want to make sure that you're finding a program based on the types of courses that you need for your degree requirements, your academic plan. Obviously, if you're interested in studying a language, so for example, you're maybe majoring or now minoring in Korean at Penn State, I can't really think of anywhere else you would study abroad outside of South Korea. So that makes total sense to me that you would only be searching for programs in South Korea. But perhaps you're majoring or minoring in Spanish. Your mind might go right to studying abroad in Spain, but We have a lot of really wonderful opportunities in South America as well. So just things to think about as you're on our website and searching through programs. I mentioned the embedded programs, and you can search for those by clicking on the drop-down menu here at the top where it says outgoing, right over here. Yeah. So if you're searching for those shorter programs and opportunities, you're going to want to select that outgoing embedded drop-down before you would go and search through countries, terms, and any of the other parameters here. For the purpose of just doing a quick search, if that's okay, we go back up to outgoing, and let's just stick with the Korean language theme, maybe. So you know for sure you're interested in studying abroad in South Korea because you're studying Korean. That makes sense to me. And you're thinking you want to study abroad this upcoming fall. So you'll select fall from the drop-down, South Korea from the country, and click search. And this will populate a list of the programs or opportunities that we offer in South Korea during the fall semester. I should note that applications are currently open if you are interested in studying abroad in the fall or next spring, which is hard to believe. We're thinking about spring of 2023 already, but applications are open. So you could certainly start doing your research now. In fact, you should if that's what you're interested in. Let's just click on the first one, Brandon, if that's okay. CIEE Seoul. I just want to show you an example of how you can start doing your research. So every program page looks fairly similar, almost identical actually. There's a little bit of information up at the top that gives you a direct link to the program website. So you should, as you're doing your research, go and look at the program on the host universities or host institutions website to learn a little bit more about it. And then on the Penn State website, if you scroll down just a little bit here, it shows you the eligibility requirements, the types of courses that could be offered, who this program is open to. This one in particular is open to any undergraduate Penn State student from any college, any major, any minor, and also students who are enrolled in the School of International Affairs at Penn State. The minimum GPA is 2.5, and you must be at least in your second semester of your sophomore or second year at Penn State. So again, every program page is structured almost the same. So this is exactly what you're going to see when you open up any other program. You just want to take a look to see if this, is a good fit for you based on the initial eligibility requirements. And then as we scroll down a little bit, you can see there are some tabs across the top of the program description box. I recommend reading through here as you're navigating through the different program pages. There's a lot of information on our website, so you can access all of that by clicking through those tabs, and again, visiting the program website as well for even more information. I probably won't go into too much more detail here because I want to let you all at home explore a little bit more and find some programs based on your interests. One thing I do want to point out, Brandon, if you go back to the top of this page, is that we do have what we call an advanced search feature. So if you have, if you know exactly what you're looking for in terms of maybe location, term, but also maybe the types of courses that you're interested in taking, you can get really specific on the advanced search. So totally random, I don't know, Brandon, let's just stick with maybe region. We'll select Asia. So let's say for sure you want to study abroad in Asia during the spring semester next year, and you are a psychology major, maybe we'll go with that. So we'll scroll to the bottom to the fields of study option, down a little bit more on the left, there we go, and we'll just select psych from this menu and click search. And this will give you a list of the programs that we offer in Asia during the spring semester that are guaranteed to offer at least one course in your major in psychology. So from here, you have to do a little bit of research, again, on the program's website to determine, all of the other courses that they offer in addition to some of the site courses, but this at least gets you here and narrows down your search options a little bit using that advanced search. I don't know, are there any questions here? I don't see anything coming through, but feel free to send those in the Q&A if you have any. We'll go back to the PowerPoint in the meantime. Thank you. That's okay. Oh, one more. Okay, here we go.
I gotta share my screen. Sorry.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So we talked a little bit about how you can search for opportunities. I encourage you to, I think our website's somewhere on here. If not, we'll give you the contact information that you need to get in touch with our office at Penn State Global or Education Abroad. You can meet with us in person, you can meet with us on Zoom or in Starfish, or we'll give you our website. So you can come and talk to us about some of the research that you've done, or maybe you just really need help getting started. We're here for you for that as well. But let's say that you're, in your research, you're looking at all the different programs and opportunities. There are some things that we want you to be mindful of and to keep in mind as you're doing your research and selecting the best program for you. We want you to be thinking about some of the things that you see on your screen on this list here, so that you're sure to be really intentional when you're abroad to make the most of your experience, so that you have perhaps developed new skills or improved on new professional skills while you're abroad, to not only list on your resume or talk about in your cover letter, but to articulate during a job interview or an internship interview after you've completed your experience. So some of the things that we encourage students to participate in are homestay. So this is staying with a family in the country that you're studying or interning abroad in. Experiences from students and personal experiences from living with a host family or homestay have really allowed students to develop and improve a lot on their language skills, your adaptation skills, communication skills, and there are a lot of really cultural experiences that students can draw upon based on living with a host family, a homestay. We also recommend taking, if it's available to you on your program, or maybe you're searching for this type of program, courses at a local university. So again, we offer a lot of different types of programs. One of the types is actually studying abroad at an institution, a university in another country. Another type of program that we offer is studying at what we would call a study center, which is essentially a building in a city with classrooms and offices, but you're only studying with the other students on that program. And a lot of times it's going to be other, domestic students from the US, from universities in the US. So Penn State students, yes, of course, but also students from other universities that organization or company partners with. But the other type of program that we offer is either an exchange or a direct enrollment, and that is where you can actually take your courses with other Penn State students, other students from the US, but also students from all over the world, including the students who attend that university in that country. I would encourage you to join, the equivalent of like a conversation group or a local buddy program abroad, again, to really improve your language skills, but also to network and to meet people who live or who are from that local country or community. If it's available to you, we recommend participating in a part-time internship while you're abroad. So like I mentioned, we do have some programs that offer the opportunity to study. Maybe you're taking 2 or 3 classes, and then you're also doing a part-time internship. So you're kind of getting that hybrid experience, which I think is ideal when you're wanting to make yourself a more marketable candidate post graduation or for an internship. You have the ability to talk about actually studying and taking classes, but also participating in an internship at the same time during the same term. You can join a club or an organization. I think on almost all of our programs, there's an opportunity for you to get involved, either with the local school or organization or within the community, and we highly recommend that you do that. And of course, volunteer. I think anywhere you go, on our programs all over the world, there's always going to be an opportunity for you to spend some time outside of your classes or outside of your internship, volunteering to give back to the local community. And what a great skill, what a great thing to talk about in a future job interview. I think we did have one question maybe come in.
Yeah.
Should we go to that before we move on?
Sure.
I thought this event was for those who have already gone abroad and wanted to market their existing experience. Absolutely. It's for anyone who is either interested or if you've already studied abroad, then I think the next part of this presentation will be really helpful for you, and Fran is going to discuss that as well. But for students who are interested, who haven't gone abroad yet, we encourage you to come and talk to one of our advisors in Penn State Global, visit our website. And for those of you who are here who have already studied abroad, then like I said, this next section I think is going to be really awesome for you to tune into. So we're getting there right now, I think.
Yeah, I think
is that
so.
the next slide?
I think it is.
It is. All right. So I will pass it off to Brandon, but I'm still here if anybody has any questions. We're just going to do a little switcheroo here. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon.
Anytime, thanks, Shona. So this is the application section of the presentation. So in today's workforce, a lot of employers, they're looking for people who have a wide range of transferable skills. And some of those skills include problem-solving skills, communication, being able to adapt to new environments, empathy, critical thinking. Another big one is the ability to work with people from different cultural backgrounds. And that's something that you're really going to learn if you decide to study abroad or have already studied abroad. And I'm just going to touch a little briefly on each of these skills. So let's take problem solving, for example. If you're living in another country for an extended period of time, you need to adapt to the transportation system, how to navigate a new academic environment. And I guarantee you that you probably ran into some sort of difficulty with that. But as resourceful college students, you all figured it out or will figure it out. And that's an example that you can really, take to a job interview or a cover letter, or just when you're talking about your experience. Communication is huge. It's huge here in the United States, but also around the world. And if you study abroad, you're having to communicate in a new cultural environment, but also potentially in a new linguistic environment. So you might not speak the language that you're studying abroad in. And so you have to learn how to communicate effectively in that language and also be sensitive of different cultural norms than your home country. And then I think that adaptability is a key trait for employees these days, because all of our lives have been changed by COVID, and we've had to adapt by it. And some workplaces are offering hybrid options, others are offering in-person, some are fully remote. So your ability to adapt to new situations is a critical skill that employers are looking for. If you have studied abroad or will study abroad, you're going to have to adapt to a new environment and acclimate. And acclimation, it takes time. But once you do that, once you become involved in the community, involved in your academic program, and really immersing yourself in that culture, those are some skills that you can definitely talk about and discuss as you go through the job process. Employers, they're looking for people who can critically think. Now, this is a skill that you all develop by going to college, hopefully, but when you go abroad, it takes it to another level, because not only are you evaluating and learning about a new culture, you're also thinking about your own culture and reflecting upon that. And once you can kind of synthesize those ideas, so you might study abroad in a country where you really appreciate how their healthcare system is run, but maybe you're not so sure about how their education system is run. Well, you have that opportunity to learn more about both of those systems, and reflect on that. And similarly, you might be questioning, well, why do we do things the way we do in my home country? I really like this about my home country, but I'm questioning why we do this. That takes critical thinking to a whole nother level, and you'll have that opportunity to ask those questions by studying abroad. And then the final one, this is just a good life skill to have, empathy. Being able to attempt to understand someone else's perspective and see things through another lens. That is something that if you've studied abroad or will go, that is something that is a great skill that you will develop by talking to people in your host culture, by getting to know the students who are in your classes, whether they're from your host country or from another country. That's really rich learning, and it will benefit you not only as you work with people in your professional career, but it will also benefit you as in your personal lives as well when it comes to really understanding people's perspectives. So this is the fun part, or the not so fun part, depending on your perspective, I suppose. But as John had mentioned earlier, studying abroad, doing an international internship, all of those experiences will make a great addition to your resume. And whenever you're talking about an experience or talking about a position, you want to utilize action verbs and really situate yourself in that situation so that your potential employer knows what your specific role was. So for the example that I came up with on the screen, this fictitious student studied abroad at the Language Institute of Brazil. I don't know if that exists, but I'm assuming something like it exists. And the student took intensive Portuguese. But I also think it's good to talk a little bit about your experience in a way. So, you can include a bullet point where you talk about, I lived with a Brazilian host family, and this helped me develop my intercultural communication skills. So you can always add something a little extra to give your employer an idea of what you did, because what you don't want to do is assume that your prospective employer knows exactly about your study abroad experience or education abroad experience. So definitely take that opportunity to do that. In this case, you're able to highlight your language experience under your education. You could also put it under a skills section as well if you've developed a high level of proficiency. Language skills are definitely valued by potential employers because it demonstrates a skill that's needed, but also a cultural skill that will benefit you as you go into the workforce. Now, some of you might do an internship abroad. So if you did an internship abroad, I would highly recommend that you include that under your relevant experience, or you could have an international experience section depending on what types of positions you're applying for. But the principle is the same. You really want to dive deep into what you did and utilize action verbs. So in the North Middlesex Hospital is an actual hospital, but I don't know if they have an internship program or not. But for example, if you did some research for them, you want to talk about what you did in a clear, concise manner. And a good bullet point is going to answer 4 questions. And I might not have included all four in these examples, but I think, sometimes you can't include all four, but the four questions that your bullet point should answer: what you did, how you did it, any quantifiable data, so any numbers, and what was the result. If you include that in most of your bullet points, that's going to give your prospective employer a better snapshot of what you accomplished. Now, the fun part of applying to jobs is cover letters. I mean, some people love cover letters, others really don't like them. But it might be a necessary part of the process. And so in a cover letter, your study abroad experiences will make a really great addition to a cover letter. And what you want to do in a cover letter is you don't want to simply regurgitate your resume. What you want to do is highlight specific experiences and examples that make you a great candidate for a position. So I would highly recommend that you take a look at the position description that you're applying for, highlight key verbs that might be there, and then try to tailor your resume and cover letter to that. So I would highly recommend incorporating your education abroad experiences in both of these ways. Now we're going to go to the job interview. If you interview for a job, position, or graduate school fellowship, you might be asked for a behavioral question. So a behavioral question is a question that is more situational. So it's, tell me about a time you handled a situation like this. How did you react? In this case, talk about a time when you experienced a conflict with someone. How did you effectively communicate in that situation? So you definitely want to be prepared to answer a question like this. And one of the great ways to incorporate your education abroad experiences is to use the STAR method. So the STAR method is a great way to answer any type of behavioral question that you might get on your during the job interview. So S is the situation. So in this case, you want to set the stage for the interviewer, talk about the general background. T is the task. So what were you charged to do? What was your responsibility in that situation? A is for action. So you want to talk about what steps did you specifically take to either improve the situation, solve the problem. And then R, the first R, is result. So what happens? What was the result? What was the outcome of your actions, and how did they improve that situation? Finally, there's a second R, which is for reflect. What did you learn? So one thing to think about is if you're interviewing for a position, you can talk about what skills, takeaways you had from that situation that you can then apply in the position you're applying for. Now, just to give you all a bit of an example, you might have had, for this specific example, you might have had a situation where there was a cultural misunderstanding or there was a language barrier, and you needed to figure out how to communicate your point of view across a linguistic difference and also a cultural difference. So you definitely will have a bunch of examples to give for questions like these. All right, so now we're going to move to funding your experience, and John and I are going to talk a little bit about funding opportunities. Within the College of the Liberal Arts, students are highly, if you are a liberal arts major, students are highly encouraged to apply for enrichment funds through our office. These funds are provided by generous donors who really want our students to have these valuable international experiences. So I would highly, highly encourage you to apply. When you do apply, please include thoughtful responses to the questions, because we do read them. But I would also mention that a very, very high percentage of students in liberal arts receive enrichment funds through our office. And that award can range anywhere from a couple hundred to a couple thousand, which is very, very generous. So definitely apply. And on our website, we do have application information as
Do
well.
you want me to go to the website?
Yeah,
I can
we're
do
gonna
that.
take a look at the website.
I'll just do a new share here. We'll go over here. Well, perhaps I will open this first, actually. Wait for that to open. Maybe it is behind the scenes. Maybe not. That's okay. We'll get it here. One
Live
moment.
alerts. Yeah, live alerts. Enrichment Funds. There we go.
There we go. Let's just make sure we're sharing. Oh,
This is
Let's-
the,
let's make sure we're on the right screen here. So here we go. Enrichment Funds application. Okay.
thank you, Jenna.
Yep.
So this is the website that you'll be taken to. There's a lot of information here, but if we scroll down a little bit, I would just encourage you all to take a look at these deadlines. So, if you were planning to study abroad in the spring semester of 2023, October 1st would typically be the deadline for the fall semester. If you were doing a summer semester, that would be on May 1st. So it's just important to keep those deadlines in mind as you apply for enrichment funds. And if you have any questions about that process, please feel free to contact me or any one of our career coaches in the office, and we're happy to talk to you about that. But again, I'd highly encourage you all to apply if you are a liberal arts major. And I'm going to turn it over to Jonna.
Yeah, I might sit here if that's okay.
That's
but I think
fine,
everybody
yes.
can hear me okay.
Yes.
So that, I just want to make sure we're on the right screen here. Yeah. So that, from my understanding, Brandon, right, is only open to students enrolled in the College of the Liberal Arts, right? The liberal arts funding.
Correct. Yeah,
Yep.
they have to have one major in
Yep,
liberal arts.
okay.
Yep.
So for everybody else, or for students enrolled in the College of the Liberal Arts, we on our website, so the Penn State Global website, also have a lot of information for you all, not only about funding, but also just how is study abroad billed? How do I pay for this? How does it work? We have a lot of information here. But in terms of funding, I always recommend that students visit the Study Abroad Scholarships section of our website. Again, a lot of really good information here. But what I would encourage you to do is take a look at the Easy Guide to Study Abroad Scholarships. This is sort of where we have everything listed that at least we are aware of that are open for students to apply, for different funding opportunities, either within Penn State or within your college, but also externally. So there are, as you will see, when you start doing some research for funding, there are a lot of opportunities out there. You just have to do a little bit of research to navigate the many opportunities to find them and see which ones apply to you. So for an example, as we scroll through here, the first handful of opportunities here are the ones that are offered through my office in education abroad through Penn State Global. Again, you're going to have to look at the eligibility requirements for each award, but these are all listed within your Penn State application. So if you're applying to one of our programs, you're going to automatically see many of these listed in your Penn State application. And we also have a list of deadlines here on our website as well. And then as we scroll down a little bit, you'll see the different opportunities that are offered through the various colleges or departments at Penn State. We obviously list the College of the Liberal Arts funding opportunities here, but maybe you're not a student in the liberal arts, or maybe you are, but you're also, you have a comm minor, for example. I don't know. You could sort of double dip, for lack of a better term, and apply for different funding opportunities that apply to you. It doesn't matter. You can apply for as many as you are eligible for. And yeah, you can keep scrolling through here. Like I said, there are a lot of different opportunities available to students who are applying for or participating in one of the Penn State Education Abroad programs. This is not an exhaustive list. However, like I said, there are a ton of opportunities out there. If you were to Google study abroad scholarships to study in New Zealand next year, just for example, there are tons that are going to populate. You just have to figure out, you have to determine which opportunities you're eligible for. Pay attention to the deadlines, the requirements. You know, is it an application? Is there an essay? Is there a recommendation? They're all a little bit different. So you just have to pay attention as you're doing this research. I'll go back to our PowerPoint and then maybe we'll go to some questions here. Okay, let's open up Q&A. Can you apply to multiple scholarships? And if so, would you get picked for only one, or can you get multiple scholarships? For education abroad scholarships in particular. So the answer is that you can. Yes, you can apply for as many scholarships, like I said, that you're eligible for, and you would be awarded. If you're eligible and you're selected, you could be awarded for multiple funding opportunities to help you pay for your experience abroad. So that's, you know, as I mentioned, I recommend doing the research to find, you know, as many opportunities as you're eligible for. You just have to find a way to keep track of all of that and manage the deadlines, the requirements, and such. So, any other funding questions before we move on? Was there anything else that you wanted to add there, Brandon?
No, I mean, this is a very rare occurrence, but sometimes it is possible to be over awarded. That is something that can potentially happen, but that does not happen very often. So again, I would recommend applying for as many scholarships as you can, and then if there is that issue, then we would cross that bridge when we get there. But again, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, and for the scholarships that you might be applying for that are external to Penn State, you know, they might not send your award directly to us, to Penn State, to add to your Bursar account, for example. So you might receive an award that is for a flight, for example. So this funding organization would apply your funds to get you to your destination, to South Korea, to wherever you're studying abroad in. So they might pay for your flights, or they might help you pay for some of your accommodation. It just really, again, it depends. You know, every award's a little bit different. Oh, we're on questions. So actually it's great timing. If you have any questions, go ahead and send them in the Q&A. What is the average cost of most study abroad experiences? Very hard to answer this question, actually, because every program or experience is priced differently. It depends on the type of program, the location of the program. You know, if it's a summer program, for example, it would depend on how many Penn State credits you're taking, you know, 3, 6, 9. So the answer is, unfortunately, it depends. But what I can tell you is that, you know, if I'm working with students and they're concerned about funding or finding a program that's affordable, I encourage them to consider what we would call non-traditional locations. So these would be locations outside of Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, because those locations are quite popular and therefore they tend to be more expensive. So again, you kind of have to look at location and the type of program, but all of the fees are listed on our website. On those program pages that I showed you a little bit ago, they're all listed on there. So you can take a look to see what the estimated fees are. One thing that I think I forgot to mention is that all of our programs, you are charged Penn State University Park tuition. So you're guaranteed to pay either, you know, in-state or out-of-state tuition, plus any additional fees on top of that, which could include your housing and meals, on-site support, orientations, and then of course you'll want to budget for your flights, for your personal expenses, miscellaneous things that you'll want to spend money on while you're abroad. We have another question here, which is, can you fund education abroad with other scholarships that aren't study abroad specific? I think what you might be referring to are scholarships that maybe you're already receiving to attend Penn State. And if so, I encourage you to connect with the student aid office to confirm if you're able to use your existing financial aid package to study abroad. I can say that most of the students that I work with are able to do that because, again, we charge you Penn State tuition. So you're earning Penn State credits. So, to the bursar, it will look like you're attending Penn State for that semester. You just so happen to be attending classes in Singapore, for example. Is there anything that you would add to that, Brandon?
No, I think that's a good
Okay.
that's a good answer. I always tell students, if you have a question about financial aid, definitely talk with the Office of
Yes.
Student Aid. They can give you the more certain answer regarding that.
Any other questions? Is there anything that you would add, or anything else, Brandon, that you would add?
I mean, I would just say, Jana and I are, Jana, who works in education abroad, is more than happy to talk about program-specific questions and.
And I'll just add our general email address here.
Yeah, that's great.
In the chat.
And obviously, please feel free to stop by my office and schedule an appointment to discuss how to incorporate your study abroad experiences into your resume. We're more than happy to help with that. And I would just encourage you all, take advantage of the resources that are available to you to help you make this happen, or how you can incorporate this as you move on from Penn State. We want to be of assistance. We believe it's valuable for our students. So please take advantage of those resources.
Yep. Oh, here's a good question.
This is a great question. Yeah. What do you think are the top 3 things employers would consider great things to bring to the table for future employment? That's an excellent question.
What a great question.
There's probably more than 3, but I would say the top, a few that come to mind are problem solving. So being able to analyze a situation and come up with a proactive solution. Then the next thing is people skills. I think being able to work on a team, being able to collaborate, being able to incorporate different viewpoints into your decision-making process, that is critical. And the other thing is communication. I really, so much of our world right now is focused on a lot of written communication in the workforce, frankly, and also verbal. Those are both things to think about. But thinking about how quickly you can accurately disseminate information to other people who need to hear it is critical. So I think those are kind of 3 to think about, but there are so many more that employers are looking for. But to be honest, those are 3 that come to mind that I think you would really have from a study abroad experience. Excellent question.
Yeah.
Any other questions in the chat? I don't know if we have any.
I don't think so. I mean, we can stick around for a minute or so.
Yeah.
If you have any other questions. Otherwise, I'm realizing now that I'm not on camera at this moment. I just realized, so I apologize. I'm like talking from afar, but thank you all so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you everyone, and thank you for coming. And again, please feel free to contact us with any additional questions.
Yeah. And I think you had a slide. Did you have one more with? Oh, you did.
Nope.
I'm sorry. Your contact information is down below there, I
Yes.
think. Yep. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you, Nicole.
Thank
Nicolette.
you.